Okay, Trent.
Yes.
We just got finished doing a lot of play, and so now it's time to get back to business again so we can play again.
Let's get
So,
focused.
yeah, focused. So, what is personal growth? People use the buzzword, I took a personal growth workshop, I did this for personal growth. What exactly is personal growth? Tell folks.
Personal growth is the idea that a person is not ever supposed to stop growing. And the truth is that people aren't supposed to stop growing ever. And there's some normal guidelines to that. Usually they say that people, when they reach a certain age, actually stop growing. And it's interesting because you'll see that the body and the person actually do stop growing, and usually it's between the ages of 18 to 25. And I think that that's the average because that's when people stop learning. Their personality and their perspectives on life, their opinions, their education, it has happened. They've gone to college, and it's like they reach a peak in life, and they go along for a certain amount of time after that, and that becomes their life, and they stop growing. You get the family, you get the house, you've got things about the way that your neighbors do, and people stop growing. And the truth of it is that you're never supposed to stop growing. And the body never stops growing, and the mind never stops growing if you keep learning, and you keep having fun, and you keep having fun learning. And so you're never supposed to stop growing. And if you look at the biology of human beings, or you look at the biology of a cell, and there's billions and billions of cells in a body, and cells make up like a community, and the same is the truth for people. So if you look at a cell's growth, or you look at cell growth, cells need to keep growing, otherwise they start to die. So a cell, if you take a cell in a petri dish and it's around a bunch of other cells, or even if it's not in a group of cells but it's just on its own, a cell has to keep growing, otherwise it starts to stagnate and die. So the same is true with the human body, the same is true with the human personality, the same is true no matter how old you get. So you can actually keep growing no matter what your age is. And it's never too late to start personal growth. It's never too late to start to keep learning and trying to grow. So the attitude of growth is constant, and it's just like a cell. You take a cell stops growing, and it starts to die. So people, if you relate this to people, it could also be that people tend to do growth in a certain way. So people tend to grow. They're trying to build a company, or they're trying to build a relationship, or they're trying to build their education, and cells and people, as long as they keep trying to grow, they do keep growing. Then people get into a repair phase, where let's say you've grown a lot, and then there's like an evening out after you've gone, let's say you've gotten your education, and then you get used to that. You get used to having your company be successful, and there is what's called a repair phase, where you've done the growth, and now the cell is going to repair itself. It's gonna integrate. We call it in personal growth and healing. So once you've gone through that repair phase, you need to start growing again. If that repair phase becomes too long, if it becomes too stagnated, if you repair for too long, you retreat for too long, then what happens is you start to die, and you start to see this in people's lives because they start to wither. Their relationships start to wither, their business starts to wither, their fun starts to wither, and it's because it's just like the cells in cellular biology, and people are just like cells. So the person, after they have reached a certain plateau and gotten used to that, you got into a new relationship and you got used to that. You grew, and then you got used to that. You got your education to a certain level, and then you got used to that. You created a home, and then you got used to having that home. You need to go out and keep growing more. So that means additional education, learning about different things. If you haven't studied math, study mathematics. If you haven't studied drama, study drama. If you haven't studied the healing arts, study healing arts. There's so many different ways for people to grow and so many things to study that you could potentially stay excited about life for eternity. And as long as you see the possibilities in your growth, then you'll probably find ways to keep growing, and you need to in order to stay healthy. As soon as you stagnate, as soon as you stay in that repair phase for too long, then it's the same thing with muscle building. If I go to exercise, I go through a building phase where the muscle tears itself down and it builds through the repair phase, and if I don't exercise for too long, then the muscle stops building. So the people are the same way. So we need to keep growing, and you want to keep growing. And to identify reasons you might not want to keep growing is great. That's the way you identify how you've been traumatized. Then you can do something about it. So, but the point is, personal growth is the person continuing to grow, learn, do different patterns, learn different ways of dealing with people. If you've never learned to dance, learn how to dance. If you've never traveled, sell your house and travel. What do you have to lose? Or if you're a vagabond, then learn how to make money and be in one place for a while. It depends on the type of person, but never stop growing and never stop changing, because changing, it's true, it's the only thing that is a constant is change.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I found in life through making a lot of changes and learning a lot of different things was that there was a judgment out there that, well, why can't you just keep doing that? Why do you want to learn something else? Why do you want to learn something else? And I didn't realize it was my thirst to have more life. And I did. I felt excited with each new thing that I did.
Great. That's what people need. They need to keep changing. And if you get to the age of 25 or 22 and you've gotten your college education, you get the relationship and you buy the home, that's just the beginning. Then you have your children, and that is a whole other aspect that keeps you going. But then don't forget about yourself. Continue your education. If you've never learned to meditate, learn to meditate. Take the risks that you were willing to take earlier in life and forget about the fact that you've been traumatized, or do something about it. And just because your friends and your neighbors stop growing doesn't mean that you have to. So take the initiative to find things that you haven't learned about, and be willing to try different things and be willing to play in different ways. And that is the key to staying young, staying healthy, and that's what personal growth is really all about. Great.
And we can reach you and get more ideas specific to ourselves for each individual person by your website and emails.
Yeah, website www.lulu.com/Trent Inspires. And my email is trentnelsonинspires@hotmail.com. I can also be reached by phone 651-894-2770. I provide private treatments, sessions of infinite healing, infinite bodywork, infinite breathing, phone consultations, webcam consultations, e-teaching, and also teaching by mail. So these are different ways that you can keep growing.
Well, Trent is a lot of fun to play with. I can be a testimony to that, so give him a call.